This is a human rights violation. This is absolutely not about reining in big tech. It's not working. To go on stage at inauguration, it seemed to be some sort of capitulation, endorsement. It's just not a normal situation. We are in an era when the rise of authoritarianism is clear and obvious all around the world. I think it's important for the big democracies, the traditional leaders in the area of human rights and free speech, to stand strong on those issues and not be leading the way towards a more controlled and authoritarian internet.
I spoke earlier to Jimmy Wales, the founder of Wikipedia, the 5th most visited website in the world, 1 billion unique users, a critic of Donald Trump and backer of Labour before the election, but now challenging Britain's new online safety law, like JD Vance. I asked him why.
Well, I mean, the biggest problem with it is that it's leading to all kinds of things being blocked that really, I think everybody would agree, shouldn't be. And we're at risk at Wikipedia of being categorized as Category 1, the highest risk site, even though everybody agrees that's actually makes no sense.
And the risk here is that you will limit access for UK users of Wikipedia.
Well, I mean, the bill, if it puts us in the highest category, we actually don't know how we're going to deal with it. I mean, one of the issues is users would have to identify before they could edit articles from other people and so on. Like, the whole thing makes no sense to us.
That's quite some blow to British internet users if they were in some way curtailed from using Wikipedia.
Yeah. I can't imagine that happening. I mean, the government's not stupid.
But isn't what's going on here is the UK is the first major country, major economy to just try and rein in the ballooning power of these tech giants with their money, their influence, all the compute power, and it's messy, but they're trying to protect children.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is they're infringing on the rights of the citizens to access content that they want. I mean, we're seeing now forums for self-help being blocked, like a stop drinking app has had to block users unless they identify themselves. A lot of them aren't going to do it, and they're not going to receive the help that they needed. So this is a human rights violation. This is absolutely not about reining in big tech. It's about, it's not working. It's just it makes no sense.
So the sort of Silicon Valley investor, Mark Anderson, today says that Peter Kyle, the tech secretary, should be reprimanded for saying opponents were on the side of sex offenders. What do you make of that?
I mean, I think Peter should apologize for that. I think he's surely going to regret saying that. That's clearly not the case. It really undermines the credibility of the government at a very crucial moment. If you say anybody who opposes this is in favor of pedophilia, that's mad. That's completely not the case. And I think he should rein it in.
I want to take you back to the beginning of this year when that sort of now famous scene of Donald Trump's inauguration and those 5 tech bosses, quite a statement perhaps, as the image of the year. That illusion of power of technology of Silicon Valley with the power of the White House. It sort of changes the game for the whole world, doesn't it? How do you think that has transpired?
I don't know. I mean, I actually think that was a bit of a power display by Donald Trump. And if I were invited, I would have said no. I don't think that was appropriate at all.
And do you think the tech bosses should have said no?
I do.
Why?
It's just a very unusual thing to go on stage at inauguration. It seemed to be some sort of capitulation, endorsement. It's just not a normal situation. And I would have said, you know what, actually, the symbolism of this is too strange, and I just wouldn't do it.
Do you think they have capitulated?
Some. That's not a complete capitulation, but yeah, I wouldn't have gone on stage. That's all I'm saying.
Has Wikipedia come under any pressure from the White House?
Yeah, we have. We've received a letter from the DC District Attorney, which was the first time we've ever really gotten a threat against our First Amendment rights. We answered the letter in a very calm way. Maybe nothing's going to happen, but it's a very strange time.
And to be clear, you have some fears that might be happening from the White House, but it also might be happening from Downing Street.
Yeah. I mean, I think it could happen anywhere in the world. I think we are in an era when the rise of authoritarianism is clear and obvious all around the world. I think it's important for the big democracies, the traditional leaders in the area of human rights and free speech, to stand strong on those issues and not be leading the way towards a more controlled and authoritarian internet.
So, a few years back, you said Trump was a lunatic and Twitter should have banned him earlier. Do you stand by that?
Definitely.
Okay. Well, I mean, is there not a mild contradiction there in terms of freedom of speech?
No. Freedom of speech. Freedom includes this freedom to criticize politicians, and of course, this is why I wasn't invited on stage for the Donald Trump thing. They would have said, "Well, no, Jimmy thinks you're a lunatic," and that would have been that. So.
Okay. Right. Well, the new version of ChatGPT is released today. These models trained a lot, as I understand it, on your content, possibly a bit of BBC content too. Are governments really prepared for the upheavals being caused by these increasingly powerful models?
Yeah, I actually think that the world is not prepared, not fully. I think a lot of interesting things are going on. I think a lot of people are thinking ahead. I think there's a lot of positive things that are going to come out of this. But yeah, clearly, when we think about certain kinds of job disruptions that are going to happen, just think about driverless cars and long-distance truck drivers and things like this. I don't think governments are prepared at all.
It's interesting, you mentioned drivers, lorry drivers, but actually some of the surprising concern right now amongst people with graduate-age children is about the law, accountancy, creative industries. Do you actually think that there is a perhaps much quicker than expected jobs shock arriving at our shores right now?
I do. I think that's exactly right. I think a few years back when we started thinking about all this and talking about this, we were thinking about robots replacing certain types of factory work and things like that. You never thought junior lawyers would be the first to go, but that might be the case. And if you think unemployed lorry drivers are dangerous, just how about unemployed lawyers? They sound very dangerous.
Okay, well, let's get a little philosophical here. But when you created Wikipedia, your big bet was on the internet democratizing knowledge and having a kind of common reality, bringing people together. That hasn't how the internet has really turned out en masse.
Yeah, that's true. Social media can be very toxic. It leads to the spread of misinformation, disinformation. I think people are unhappy about that. But for us at Wikipedia, we're just the same old Wikipedia we've always been. We try to get it right. We're always open to correction, open to newcomers coming in, joining our discussion and debate. It's a bunch of really nice people. And so we hope that our values, as we continue to work and do what we do, communicate to the world to say, actually, before you have all those fights, before you have all these ideological wars, why don't you actually just stop a minute and think about the facts? Let's get to a shared understanding of the basic facts, and then we can have our policy differences, but we'll do so in a much more productive way.
Well, nice to leave it on. Jimmy Wales, thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So, I should say the government has said it's demonstrably false that the Online Safety Act compromises free speech. That's their response.